There we go. Hey, everybody. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. Alan Ballantyne. How are you, my brother? Good to see you. I can, if I lean back all the way, I can honestly look straight out and get a really good look at that big rock that almost killed Alan and I. I have a very young, I got a very young nephew that went and climbed it the day before yesterday, and was talking about the climb. Apparently, it's considerably easier if you're 25. Who knew, right? Bizzle, hey Bizzle, it's an honor, man. No lie, that it is an honor. It's Bizzle is a long-standing member of my brother Johnny's channel, and just huge friend of the channel and of the family. Much love, Biz. Good to see you, man. Kylie Morrison. I'll tell you what, man. This is going to be one of those days. This is going to be one of those days. Look at all of the cool people that are in the live feed. I'm dragging my feet because the number's going up fast, and I figure let's see if we can get a couple of people in here so that you're not having to run double speed to catch up, right? You know, I hate it when the phone gets foul and disgusting because you got to keep dragging your fingers across. One of the grossest things in the entire world, isn't it? All right, people, are you ready? Twisted Sister, a pledge pin on your uniform. Now drop and give me 20. You're weak. You're worthless and weak. Sorry, I had a Twisted Sister flashback. It's been known to happen to 50-somethings. Occupational hazard of getting old. So today, people, this is a subject that, like every other subject on the earth, we have covered this on the lifeboat before. But it's been a long time since we have. And I think it's probably more important right now than it's ever been because we've kind of broadened our appeal, so to speak. People are realizing that there's a whole lot to this connection thing, and that it seems to help a lot of problems. You know, Snotface, good to see you. Hello, V. Always good to see you, V. Cindy, ZW. Yeah. So now that we started to widen out the base a little bit, now that we started to hang out with people who are not necessarily drug addicts, people who are in the process of changing something massive in their life. Maybe they're not happy with the way they eat. Maybe they're not happy with any number of things. Maybe they just escaped from a vicious, heartless cult. Right? Any number of those things. But one of the things that happens, just like when we first quit drinking or drugging, we tend to get into recovery groups, right? We get into these families, so to speak. Really is what it is, and it's kind of what we encourage here is to build yourself a support group, a family of people that you can call on, and that are always interested in your well-being and always willing to take a phone call if you feel like maybe you're gonna screw up, right? Or in a better world, these are people that you talk to a couple of times a week. Because I talk to Alan Ballantyne, and you know what? I can get on the phone and go, "Hey, what's going on, dude? How you doing?" And he'll go, "Oh, what's wrong, man?" Because we've been doing this a really long time. Quiet girl, congratulations. I got a new job. Congratulations. I hope that new job isn't for me. I'm kidding. Angela, good to see you. But Alan will call me on it. You know, in the perfect world, when you spend enough time around people who are all trying to pull in the same direction, right? Everybody's default setting is love. Everybody's default setting is kindness to one another, right? Really doesn't matter what's ailing you. If everybody is doing everything within their power to make sure that no one in pain isolates, right? Now, there are going to be people for whom this is much more difficult. right? Every layer, every amount of trauma is different, and how you get it is different. And if two people go through the exact same thing at the exact same time, they can still come away with two really different experiences, even though everything they did is the same, right? We're very unique creatures, and how we process things and how we deal with things, definitely it differs massively from person to person, right? So one of the problems that we get in as addicts is, and it really, you may not feel it as much when you're on the deck of the lifeboat, but if you get up into the pilot house, uh, and start hanging out, up near the captain's seat, you will find that I get a lot of emails. I get an insane amount of emails. If you really want to know the truth, I get an insane amount of emails from individuals who want to tell me who else on the boat is getting high, right? I mean, nonstop. I get emails from people that say, "Hey, I think so and so has fallen off the wagon, and they're, I think they're faking and this and that." And you know what, people, that is not staying in your lane, right? You understand the concept, right? That is what not to do. If you're trying to stay in your lane, right? Worry about your sobriety. Worry about your recovery. Liz, good to see you. Worry about what's going on in your life. Don't worry about what's going on in anyone else's. If you start getting caught up in recovery early on with worrying about how many days homeboy has, and whether or not we really believe that he's using or not using, what ends up happening is we end up right back into the exact same situations that we were in, minus the chemicals. You feel me? There's really nothing that's changed. It's still the same animosity. It's still the same kind of isolation. It's still all of those feelings that made us miserable when we were drug addicts. There's no reason whatsoever to impose that on yourself again. But we get addicted to every aspect of being addicted to heroin or cocaine or whatever your drug of choice is. Right? Doesn't matter what your yeah, you absolutely can be addicted to drama, Dana. It's really what I was going to say. You get addicted to every single aspect of the drug, and you absolutely get addicted to drama. And I'll tell you something, that if anybody here is someone that has abused, say, all of them, and there are people out there that, basically went through just about every kind of drug until they found theirs, right? But they've abused pretty much everything out there. You know exactly who I'm talking about. There is one drug that creates more drama than any other drug. This is not open for debate. I promise you, this is a stone cold fact, right? And that drug is methamphetamine, right? And the reason is people don't sleep. We spent a lot of time talking about what goes on in the brain, right? When you lay down at night, the kind of things your brain is doing to basically clear out some filing cabinets and make sure that you're handling yourself, right? Keeping you in line, so to speak. You got the night shift and you got the day shift. So your subconscious mind is going at all times, right? But what happens? What happens when you start to get addicted to all of the craziness around you? You haven't slept in 9 days. You're convinced that the guy across the street works for the Federal Bureau of Investigation, right? You are 100% convinced that somebody put a tracking device on your car last night, right? I get these, no joke, all of the time. I get this kind of thing from people who write to me and say, "I got to tell you what's going on with the relationship," and I usually say things like, "You need to get off of that crap for like 7 or 8 days, right, at a minimum, and then try to reevaluate," because you get these people that are trying to make life decisions as they're on the precipice of getting sober. And as Alan Ballantyne, right? He says, after over 20 years on that crap, it's the truth. It's horrible stuff. Well, what it does in the brain is it releases feel-good chemicals, right? All of them. Seriously. I mean, it just dumps all of the feel-good chemicals that you've got in your brain, and not just dope. I mean, this is a cocktail, right? This puts, and this is why, it's the basis of ecstasy, right? I mean, ecstasy is a methyl-based drug. It's methamphetamine, and they synthesize it with something else. But it's great for that kind of thing because it keeps you awake and it keeps blood pressure going and all of those fun things, and it gives you all of those feel-good chemicals. It's why, everybody just loves one another, and it's until they don't, right? Until they've been up for 4 or 5 days and they start getting really paranoid and everybody's out to get them. It gets pretty insane. And I get emails from people in this condition who want to tell me things that are going on the boat. And God bless you, right? God bless you. I don't want to know anything about anybody on this boat from someone else ever, right? That's just bad juju. It really is. This is drug behavior, right? This is the kind of crap that you do when you're still using. This is the kind of crap that you do when you're still not in a good place, right? We're trying to break away from not just the chemical, but everything that goes along with it, right? The lifestyle. You get addicted to every single aspect. You get addicted to some drugs that people do keep them in nightclubs, and you get addicted to that, right? Going to the club every night is a big deal. For some people, you do drugs that keep you awake when every other person on the planet is asleep, right? So the vast majority of people are gone to bed, and it's you and about 5 or 6 other people on the same drug, roving the city, and it gets pretty incredibly, it gets dangerous, it gets wild, and everybody needs to learn that no matter what you see, no matter what you hear, stay planted in your own lane. Concentrate on your sobriety. Don't concentrate on anything else, and I would concentrate on short little blasts of that. In the beginning, I would really try to concentrate on just not getting high today. Okay. It's a daunting task to try to set yourself up with something like, I'm never going to use again. I got about 20, 30 years left on the planet. Right. So I can't use again for 20 or 30 years. Whoa. That's not, that's frightening. That's frightening. It's too much. Right. So if we could break it off into, hey, I just got to get through today, and start linking those days together. Russ, thank you, my brother. Use this to get a cheap watch. A yard dog. Probably a triathlon. That was it's a yard watch. There's a lot of talk right now about the government shutdown and what that's going to do to the federal prison system. I've been hearing tons of stuff and reading things about how they're going to be absolutely screwed over because no one's going to be going to work. And these guys, I would say something that never happens. If you hear that stuff on the news, I have been in there when the government shut down. I assure you, every single one of those people are going to go to work. They're going to be guarding but it is one of those sensational things that they love to report because, good Lord, you wouldn't want us all getting out, right? That would be absolutely frightening. 1 minute at a time leads to hours and leads to days. It's all how you see it. Christy. And that's it, right? People, sometimes the things that we are getting away from, right? Sometimes the situations that we found ourselves in as addicts were far worse than the drugs. Sometimes the things that we did put us into situations where we were surrounded by people who were abusive, and we end up in really awful headspaces, right? Short bursts, people, short bursts and openness. If you find yourself feeling a little bit out of sorts, 100 out of 100 times, you should reach out and talk to somebody about it. There's never going to be a time where holding it inside is going to make you feel better or make you safer or make you happier. None of those things. For all intents and purposes, it's it's running, right? Because you're going to deal with this. I promise you. Whatever is weighing on you, whatever is that thing that is just more than you want to cope with right now, you're going to deal with it. The question becomes, do you deal with it on your terms or do you deal with it on the problem's terms? The problem's way would be you running as fast as you can away from it for a long period of time until you're exhausted and cannot run any further, at which point the problem will overtake you and you will have to fight exhausted, right? Or you can just turn around and dig in, right? Start facing the problems. And if the fear is stronger, then anytime I got overwhelmed by fear, I broke down the unit that I was concentrating on in terms of time and made it smaller and smaller and smaller. And I promise you that during the holidays, I mean, and you know, there was about probably 25 guys in my unit that were all part of the sort of lifeboat group kind of thing that I was doing in there. We had a group of guys that met every day, and but we met out on the yard, so it was people from a bunch of different units. But there was probably 20 or 30 of them that were in our unit, and I got pretty close to some of them. And I remember we would walk because they had a track on the inside, and we'd be walking the track, and literally like looking at the watch and going, "We made it 4 minutes, man. We got through 4 minutes, right?" Because knowing that it was everywhere. You know, it was Christmas time. There's dope everywhere. You know, everybody's family comes to visit. And it's one of those times in prison that you always can find dope. And it's the most difficult time to be in there, you know. So it was miserable. It was absolutely miserable. Hold on one second. You know what, Tim? I love you, brother. I love you, brother, and I love the question. I do. I really do. But you know what? We're gonna keep those out of here. And the reason being, I'll tell you what. The reason being, our opinions on those. It would be fantastic if everybody could just say, "Tell you what, I believe X, Y, Z," and then your friend could say, "I believe LMN," right? And you guys could just go, "Great," give each other a hug, walk off, agree to disagree, right? It doesn't happen like that anymore, sadly. You know why? Because nobody can stay in their freaking lane. Straight up. Nobody can stay in their own lane. We can't not gossip. We can't not backbite. And we can't not get to a place where we believe 100%, so much so in our superior intellect, our superior education, our how much time we've spent deep diving, whatever you latch onto. But you know so much about whatever the subject matter is, that not only do you know that anybody that's not going to agree with you, you have the ability to out debate, right? Because this is your, you know, this is where you're planting your, your sword here. But unfortunately, the communication process that this often brings on destroys people. It's a very ugly process. For a lot of people. It requires patience. Communication as a whole requires massive, massive amounts of